Hi, everybody. We put that on there. Are you frustrated with your farrier? The calls I get, it seems like that there's a large portion of people that have horses that find themselves in that predicament. They either can't get them to return a phone call or show up on the same month that they said they were going to be there in. And I've got a remedy for that. For over 20 years now, I've been teaching people how to shoe their own horses. And we've got a class coming up. So if you've ever been in that predicament where either you're looking for a new farrier or you're frustrated with the one you have, that's the category that we're all going to fall. Horses just fall in that category. But anyway, do you know how to read your horse's foot? I mean, we talk about reading the horse all the time here, but do you know how to read your horse's foot? That would be something that you would learn by taking this class. You would learn about bone alignment, and how these three bones come into play. This bone right here is the coffin bone. This is the short pastern bone. This is the long pastern bone. You hear a lot about navicular. This is the navicular bone right here. And see this, what the navicular bone is attached to the short pastern and the coffin bone via ligaments. Ligaments attach bone to bone. This yellow one here is a deep digital flexor tendon. Tendon connects bone to muscle. And I think it's kind of interesting that you, when you look at this foot as relative to our conformation, when you hold your finger out, the first joint of your finger is the same as the coffin bone. The second joint in your finger is the same as the short pastern. The third bone, of course, is the long pastern. And then your knuckle is actually this fetlock joint and on up the leg as we're going up. We don't have a navicular bone in our finger, but anyway, I talked about bone alignment. When you're able to accurately read the bottom of your horse's foot, you can tell where the center of that foot is by reading the foot accurately. And this is a big part of what we'll teach in this class, is teach you how to recognize the center of your horse's foot and the importance of that. When these bars terminate into the frog, this is the bar of the foot right here, and it terminates into the frog right about here, both sides. So right across that line right there is the center of your horse's foot. And what's the big deal about that being the center of your horse's foot? Look here, when we open up where the center line mark is, you see where it falls right in the center of P2 and straight underneath right here. That's the center line mark. So what? Well, that tells us where to balance this foot. That tells us where to place the shoe. It tells us what needs to be trimmed off. It tells us what needs to be left alone. Because we're gonna teach you how to read the sole so that you don't get too deep. That horse needs to have good sole in order to be able to have adequate support. If we take out all this sole and then we expect our horse to be sound on rocks or anything, we're just kidding ourselves. So we've got to know what can come off and what needs to stay, and that's what we'll teach you during this class. And the thing that you will find by taking this class is you'll feel like you're able to do your own work after the class, or you'll never mind paying to get it done again. There's no in between, because it's physically demanding. It requires that you have some mechanical skills, and it requires that you be able to implement what you're actually reading on the bottom of this foot accurately, so that we help the horse the best way we can. What I'm looking for in a properly trimmed foot is a foot that is arranged underneath of the horse so that the internal structures of that horse are supported in the best possible way. And when we get that horse supported correctly, then we arrange it so that these tendons around the back of the leg and tendons around the front of the leg cradle those bones in a way that they're hung in a sling, that they have the most range of motion, the easiest way of moving. In other words, we're going to take some stress away from these horses by trimming them properly so that they can get over their foot easier. We're going to make it so that these horses are more comfortable. You know, it's interesting that one of the things that is overlooked in any kind of horsemanship, and that's recovery time. And if your horse is not comfortable on his feet, even when he's standing in the stall, he can't get any rest because he's under continuous strain by being out of balance. But when we put that horse in balance, now then that horse can stand there comfortably. That horse can rest, and that rest time is where they recuperate. And so that's a very, very valuable thing that I think often gets overlooked, that will be addressed accurately by you being able to read where this horse is, the points on the bottom of this foot that tell you what need to happen. And it's very, very rewarding to take a horse and look at it, and you maybe see your horse where he's got his front feet on the ground and he's hanging his head out over his front feet, and his front feet are kind of back underneath him a little bit, and his back feet are kind of where his front feet and his back feet kind of come together, almost like that end of the trail picture that you see of that Indian standing there like that. If your horse tends to stand like that a lot, he's not balanced. And that horse is trying to find comfort. He's compensating. Compensation for lack of balance, lack of structural support will cause your horse to be sore throughout their whole body because they're just trying to get comfortable. And they're going to strain muscles that they wouldn't have to strain if they were placed in balance to start with. That horse's legs are going to come straight down out of his body. He's going to be able to stand there relaxed on his feet and have the best opportunity for recovery time, the best opportunity to perform at their maximum potential. And another thing that you might want to think about as far as relative to balance is the longevity of life of your horse. If you tried to drive your car and you keep the emergency brake on all the time, that's going to strain the transmission. The brakes are going to go out, and that it might even catch on fire because of the heat that's going to get generated because of the resistance that comes from having the emergency brake on while you're trying to drive. Well, horses that don't have the luxury of being put into what I call proper balance essentially are going around under the resistance of undue stress based on usually leverage. And that's another thing that we'll address very, very heavily in this class, is to teach you how to recognize distortion and how to properly address it, because there's an ongoing conflict between the hoof wall and the ground and movement of the horse. And what I mean by that is the weight of the horse and movement tend to have a continuous download on the bones. The hoof wall against the ground has a continuous upward pull. So essentially we have a mechanical prying away of the hoof wall from the laminae. That laminae connect the coffin bone to the hoof wall. We have a continuous prying apart. So basically what it would be like was somebody taking, if your hoof wall is too long, especially too long at the toe, would be like somebody grabbing you by the thumbnail and just pulling it back up over just trying to tear your thumbnail off. And you know that's unnecessary. When it's understood how to deal with it properly, which is what we'll teach you, you know, that becomes a problem no longer. So anyway, I just wanted to take this time to tell you about the class coming up and to invite you to come join us.
What's unique to your class with the horse handling? Why is horse handling brought into a trimming and shoeing class?
Okay, the question was presented to me about horse handling and how that fits into this class that we teach. You know, no matter how skilled you are as a farrier, if that horse won't cooperate with you, if that horse won't help you a little bit to stand there quietly while you're working on his feet, you can't do a good job on him. So that's one thing that we will address that is very unique to this particular horse shoeing, horse trimming class. And that is unique as well. I'll address that as soon as I'm done talking about the horse handling, but I'll address in detail how to get your horse to stand there comfortable, hold his foot up for you, and be relaxed while he's doing that. You don't have to take this class for the horse shoeing part. We offer during this class, we'll teach you how to trim. And if you choose not to go on through with the shoeing part, we offer in the same class two classes in the same class. One that will learn the trimming and the shoeing, and one that just chooses to learn only the trimming. So anyway, I think that's a unique offer that we have as well.
What can you expect to walk away from this class in just a weekend?
What you'll expect to walk away from this class with in a weekend time is either you'll feel like you'll be able to do your own work, or you'll never mind paying to get it done again. And either way, you're going to be better off. It'll make it easier for you to be patient with your horseshoer on him returning that phone call. You'll have more understanding of why your horse needs to stand quietly for them, and you will know how to recognize what a good shoe job is and what a shoe job that isn't good looks like, so that maybe perhaps you need to reevaluate. If you're unsatisfied with the performance of your horse or anything, you might gain the understanding to be able to either do your own work or select a farrier out there that is capable of doing the work that you need them to do. Because I'll tell you this much, all horseshoers aren't created equal. Horseshoeing is an art, and it is by those that achieve to become the best in their trade, they never quit learning. It's always a reaching for the cutting edge of understanding, backed by science, backed by performance, backed by more than just, I believe, or he said this was a good thing. We're not teaching you something here that is guesswork. This is science-backed, evidence-proven performance. So anyway, I look forward to you coming to the class, and I know you'll enjoy it, and you'll have a great time, make new friends as well.